Hi, everybody. Oh, hi, everybody. 942 days today. 942 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And I'm going to continue this. That's a Siamese sister city to Juarez, Mexico. And of course, we have the father in law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado, the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, walking into a Dollar General and saying that he is with the FBI, that you can take down the flyers of Richard, the missing soldier, and because the FBI has found the remains of the missing soldier Richard Halliday in Juarez, Mexico. Um, so we have that. We have the video of it. We have the testimony of what happened. And so we were told he's a nobody. It took us months. By God's hands, we were able to figure out who this man was. And it turned out to be that he was definitely somebody, a very important somebody. And it took months. You see, this this expectation all the time to have things done quickly, uh, um, by God, like when you pray to God and you say, please, 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 and you want things very quickly, right? Um, but time is, well, created by God, and very, very important because it tells its story. So as time went by, a man that said he was FBI, so he's posing as FBI or he's an FBI informant, um, goes into a Dollar General. Months later, he's happy at work. He's happy at work. What story does that tell? It tells that he had no worries of getting in trouble with the FBI because he was telling the truth. He's with the FBI. Not a special agent, but absolutely, um, I would say because of the magnitude of FBI informants that we have and that we pay today, that do the work of foreign and domestic enemies. Um, Absolutely, because I was at January 6th, and now there might be the release. I saw Tucker Carlson received uh, video footage from January 6th, and we'll see what happens in the next week. It should be to our benefit. You might see me there. You might see Rob. You might see our family passing out flyers, passing out prayer candles for Richard, for the missing soldier, for the missing CONUS, first CONUS, which means Continental USA, the first CONUS, DUS 1, duty status whereabouts unknown, um, soldier in U.S. Army history under the Vanessa Guillen absent soldier, the new Vanessa Guillen absent soldier flow chart, because our soldiers were getting um, bludgeoned to death in the armory, stuffed in trunks, burnt, cut up, buried in foxholes. And it is. People go, why do you call that a foxhole? Because it was dug by a military person, and they dig foxholes. They are trained on how to dig foxholes, and it was a very, very sophisticated grave that this military person made for Vanessa. Okay, very, very sophisticated, um, and they put her burnt, cut up. They beheaded her. They beheaded her, um, and other things, and they put her in this hole and put lime on her and put concrete on her and then dirt and leaves and twigs and whatnot, and never thought that her body would ever be found. God had a different plan. It was found. Praise God. praise God that she is not in that hole, in that foxhole. Okay. And we still don't, I don't believe, and I don't think her family believes, that we have justice in her case, that we have answers about what was going on in that case. But an absent soldier flow chart was created because during that time, you have to understand, she went missing in April. Her body was found and identified very early in July. And before that, Austin Hawk was slaughtered in his room, beheaded. And Enrique Roman Martinez, and when I say beheaded, 39, I mean, he had so many wounds to his head and his throat was slit that when they went to go pick him up, they had to hold his head on. Okay. To me, that's pretty brutal when you're doing it in the middle of a barracks with all these elite soldiers and nobody comes to help you. Nobody even calls 911. Nobody even calls the military police. Nobody. Because this is what has happened in our military. They have removed esprit de corps. They have removed the Medal of Honor ethos. They have placed fear and anger and retaliation, severe continuous retaliation, torture, injury onto our soldiers. This is the work of 44 four-star generals and admirals. Okay? And I shouldn't have said soldiers. I should have said service members. So this is that work. So Enrique's head was also chopped off with a hatchet at that time that Vanessa's, body was found, and Austin. So, 1, 2, 3. And an absent soldier flow chart was created. Richard, the first CONUS Deaths 1 missing soldier to be placed on that Vanessa Guillen absent soldier flow chart. And we want to talk about the response of the military. Just as the response was for Vanessa Guillen, as far as in the military, the hush-hush, the hope never to find anything out, just like no one came to help, aid, rescue, comfort, because after Austin Hawk's murderer, slaughterer left the room, leaving bloody footprints behind all through that hallway, because you understand how much blood comes out of the head when you're, 39 stab wounds to the head. You understand how much blood. And even after that happened, not one person went in there. Not one. Not one person called 911 or the military police, even after the slaughterer left the room. Because you see, the co-murderer, the conspirator, who's going to be sentenced pretty soon, I think just like 20 years in prison. I don't know, which is a kick in the butt. It's a plea deal. It's a plea deal by these demon 44 four-star generals and admirals to use it against our soldiers again. Can you imagine the mental injury that they have done now on our service members by plea dealing with these two murderers? Because that murderer, Jordan Brown, he didn't do the act, okay? Just like the 44 four-star generals didn't do the act. I've been told, why am I picking on them? They didn't murder Richard, okay? That's what I was told. But he didn't do the act, but he conspired and organized and let the murderer in, and Byron Booker, And he was there. He was CQ. He was CQ. God help us. Christ have mercy. Lord have mercy. Christ have mercy. And they plea dealed. They plea dealed. They had months of text messages back and forth. And yeah, it's sticking my neck out just saying it. Just saying it. But we're talking about our service members. Who is going to have our service members sick? Who's gonna help them? They have demons as 44 four-star generals and admirals. There was only 7 of them during World War II with 10 times more service members. We had over 13 million service members and only 7 4-star billets. We have 1,300,000 now. A tenth of the amount, but 44 4-star billets. We need to investigate them, these general officers. We need to audit them, and they need to be held accountable for all the injury and pain and, the failed audits at the Pentagon, the lockstepping to the COVID nonsense, the participation in, it was a DOD that did that whole thing. Starting with 2013. This was not it's a surprise, SARS-CoV-2. No, yeah. We were even watching some shows where they were kind of putting that narrative out there and everything, way before. Anyway, we all know that now. And now the J6, which we're getting called, like being a mom and saying, I want to know where my son is. What's going on? He's a United States Army soldier. Our family, we want to know. We want to know where is our son. You say all these things, but all of it doesn't make sense because the main point is that you have a U.S. Army soldier that's missing, unaccounted for. And no way do we think that he just walked away. No way. At this point, at 942, no way. I was hoping that. But the very first thought that came to my head when we found out all of this on day 36, because no one ever contacted us, was, oh my goodness, Richard is dead in a ditch somewhere. That was the first thought. So, and we had and especially because Captain Yoshida, Richard went missing on the day of the change of command from Captain David Park to Captain Micah Yoshida. And Yoshida was shaky. I'm talking about fearful, crying. He was, it's like everyone is so afraid. They've been so abused, so mentally abused, physically abused, severe retaliation, continuous retaliation, mentally and physically, using the tools that we have entrusted into our leadership, but they've used them badly and unjustly against our service members to lockstep them. And then the training that teaches really the survival of the fittest, right? So it's a dog-eat-dog world. And then they are grooming them into these porn cults. They're grooming them into all kinds of depravities. And then to take the edge off, they turn the barracks into a marketplace for illegal drugs and say, hey, take the edge off, take this illegal drug, and then turn them into druggies. Or, a more, for people that don't want to take drugs, it's let's have frat parties every day, bring in the girls. You see them get raped or you rape them. You get groomed into that culture. How many rapists do we have in uniform right now? And it's not even girls. They do guys, I just heard from Las Cruces that the basketball team was, matter of fact, I need to find that. The basketball team was shut down because of this hazing, where they're stripping one of the players naked and messing with them in the most intimate ways. Like, what's going on? This is a psychological operation that's been going on a long time, messing with our with our service members, and it is just the worst kind of psyop. It really is, because it takes away the value of life. It takes away, like I was talking about the other night, the Trinity, the value of the individual. Okay, it's totalitarianism, absolutely. They'll say for the individual, um, which is like anarchism, and we saw that they're using like several different things as anarchism into totalitarianism, because they don't want the Trinity. They don't want God. Okay, they don't want God. They don't want the law. They don't want life. They don't want freedom. Okay, so um, it's very, very obvious that we are under attack. First, psychologically. Now, it's getting kinetic. Absolutely, with these murders and everything. So, I'm going to get right into it then and start talking about this this letter. I started it yesterday, and we talked about the border incident, this attempted suicide. Okay, so let's go over this one more time. This is Captain David Park. Um, he introduced himself, and it's the hand of a jag is all over this. Okay, I don't know if I'm right, but I thought it was very interesting. I was very happy to get this letter, even though I thought it was so despicable. But I was happy to get it. You have to be very calm, because this is absolutely, by this time, 30th of April 2021, I already knew something was up, and I call this letter asymmetric warfare tactic, an asymmetric warfare tactic, a psychological operation, using a JAG to help write it, and a cover-up job, and a cover your rear end job, and it reeks. I guess it reeks. I guess that's the right word for it. Um, Guilt. They're guilty. They did something really bad to Richard. Okay. I thought that when I first got this letter, I wasn't as bold to say things because I didn't have enough hard evidence, meaning recordings and pictures and snapshots and GPS and testimonies and all the things that we have now. Um, Matter of fact, I'd really like to know exactly where I was at in. I know that we did not know about Tavita Nusa at this point. No, we didn't know about Tavita Nusa until February of 2022. And this is April 2021. And I'm wondering if we knew about the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, which is Richard's, op-ord command station, Major General Clem Coward and Command Sergeant Major Jake Jakovitz, Command Sergeant Major Jones. Yeah, and what's going on with them, right? It is child porn so good? Is it so good that that you will cover something like this up, because Richard wasn't going for it. Richard didn't want anything to do with it. Matter of fact, he thought it was so despicable, he was turning people in. This is what, the Child Protective Service complaint, that we can't get the FOIA answered because they don't want us to have the hard evidence. But we're working on other things behind the scenes, because we are finally figuring things out. It takes a while, and I don't know how they're going to deal with us on this, because the government is so good at hypnotizing us to trust them, to have hope in them, that it takes a while for you to collect all the information, because they also have the 15 plus agencies working for them. And because they're the military, y'all. They have the guns, they have the ships, they have the submarines, they've got it. They've got the spy material on all of us, and they've got the B-2 bombers, stealth bombers. They've got it, right? And for the most part, they have, by a hypnosis technique, our pride of our country, the love of our country, they use that to control us. And, so they have the support of most of the United States behind them. And, here it takes a while to figure that they were definitely up to no good. And so I want to talk about this a little bit. It's interesting. This is a PSYOP. This bolding of text is a PSYOP, right? Because you always bold text that you're screaming out that you want people to concentrate on. So that is, that is definitely a maneuver here. And they're saying the 25th of January, 2020, driving while intoxicated. It's, that was a DUI because Richard was only 20. You can't get a DWI when you are a minor. So he's a minor here. And the other thing is this whole incident from parking lot to parking lot, because he was avoiding the police coming in, being called into a nearby party area, that there was a fight that broke out, and he wanted to avoid that. He went from one parking lot that he was waiting, and went to another parking lot. Okay, so right beside. This was all dismissed. The whole case was dismissed. So what's going on, right? Why are they using a dismissed case? It could have been whatever, but it's really no big deal, because this is a normal thing in our foul-driven 44 four-star general and admiral military. When you are being retaliated against severely and continuously by your own, and your job is to do no good, right? To do no good. That's what's going on. No successes anywhere. No success in any hostile zone. No success in any theater, as far as a military theater. No success in the barracks. No success in stopping suicides. No success in stopping PTSD. No success in alcoholism. No success. Every program is a failure. Okay? When every program is a failure and all the soldiers are working in that area with their, no success in any of their war maneuvers or whatever, no success. Okay? Then, and you know that they don't have your six. You know that they're up to no good. You know it. Then, of course, uh, illegal drugs or any other kind of drugs, the PTSD drugs that are very hard to get off of once you get on them. Very hard. It's so, this is so evil. This is so cold blooded. So cold blooded. This is the destruction of our service members, right? Mentally and physically. And so, of course, oh, okay, let's just have a frat party. Let's just get drunk. Oh, okay, there was a rape. Okay, now I need a really hard drink, or I need a drug, or whatever. And so there are DWIs and DUIs all over the place. This is a daily thing going on in the military that captains have to deal with. I'm just telling you that. Um, so that is all. He only has one counseling slip for underage drinking, 0.04 BAC, which is also a joke. It's not punitive. At least give me a number that says he was drunk. I mean, it's they are just so broken. And I want to say I'm very proud of Richard because they tried everything they could to get something on him. And what did they get? A 0.04 BAC. That could have been his mouthwash. That it's such a joke. It could have been the calibrator, the machine not calibrated properly. So I'm telling you, Richard did really, really good. Then here, this attempted suicide on 2nd of March. His unit was having the FTXs, okay, which is field training exercises during February and March. Remember that if you've been keeping up with this case, they came in March 27th. Everybody was saying, you got to come in, you got to come in. But they were sleeping in the barracks, a lot of them. And of course, some, including Richard, were out in the field to guard the equipment. So something was going on, and Richard got a cut right here. Okay, right there. Boom. And it was a superficial cut. A superficial cut. And I'm just like, okay, we were told much, much worse, which is also odd for a person that said they visited Richard. So it was all a lie, and we can prove it was a lie, that there's more to this because there's an SOP that if people are whistleblowing, they'll just say your mental health is not good. You need to go to mental health, right? We'll put you in mental health. Okay. We've got evidence of that was happening. They didn't get away with it, but that was happening. And, so they're just cold-blooded. They're just really devious. Richard was in the hospital from the 2nd to the 5th of March. What was he trying to get away with? Get away from, right? What was he trying to get away from out of the field, out of the duty of watching that equipment out there? What was going out? What was going on in the field, right? What was going on in the field that he wanted to get away from them, right? Because you have to understand that March 27th, he bought a rifle. They got out of the field. He didn't waste a day. He went and bought a rifle, okay? He bought a rifle. Something was going on. He was afraid for his life. They came back out of the field on the 27th. He bought a rifle. On the 28th of March, he went to go shoot his rifle. He had his rifle in his trunk. He had the ammunition in the car on the seat. That is how you're supposed to do it, right? Or on the floorboard. He got caught up in that traffic pattern that, they were doing all this construction in El Paso at the time. We drove it. We went and talked to the construction foreman. It had been going on for over a year and a half at the time, and it would lead people daily, all the time, all day long. The construction foreman said this, that to the Bridge of Americas, and they would have to be turned around. So Richard self-reported. He got caught at that border. He did not want to go over to Mexico. He self-reported, and he was shackled and given to his unit, who put him in a quarantine wagon because they were so afraid of the COVID was, see, the 28th of March is when the COVID thing really hit hard. They really pounced on him. And they put him in a quarantine wagon to be taken to the hospital to be tested. You got to make those testers a little money, right? To be tested for COVID without any symptoms. He had no symptoms. It's just it's such evil, evil, evil what they did. Crimes against humanity. We need to put the death penalty on the table. We really do. It's so evil. They tested him for COVID. It was negative. And it is recorded that because they really cared if he went over to Mexico, but he was only at the border briefly and never crossed over. And so I have that to show you. Let's see. Here it is. I can even make it bigger. He was at the border briefly and did not physically cross over. Okay? So where's the date on this? Let's see if the date's on this. 28 March 2020. Let's get that real big so everybody can see it. 28 March 2020. Yeah. So, COVID-19 testing was performed and resulted to be not detected. He had no symptoms. 20 years old, super healthy, no symptoms. These people are insane. Absolutely insane. Anyway. I have this. Let's go back to the letter. Let's go back to the letter. I have to stay calm. I was told, Mrs. Halliday, I don't know how you were able to take all this in this letter. I don't know. This is so bad. So violent. Because, see, the bottom line, this is Richard's captain. Okay? His duty is to care for his soldiers. That's his duty. To unite them, to create esprit de corps, to create a unit that is functioning together, that can perform well in a field problem, in a hostile zone, that they will be right on target. If some kind of spy balloon comes by, that Patriot missile can get it. You see, because Richard was a Patriot missile crewman. So, this is what this Captain David Park, and he's a West Pointer. This is a West Pointer. And if Byron Booker collaborated, don't you think there's collaboration in Richard's case? I think so. It's my opinion, but I know so. I know so. I don't even want to say I think so. I know so. I know that this was a very big collaboration. These people conspiring together. And I think this letter is proof of that. And we have lots of proof, but this is just one piece of evidence. Why? Because the next thing is this attempted suicide, the 2nd of March, um, with the border incident where, okay, so, he tried to commit suicide, but, he bought 2 weapons. March 27th and July 17th, he bought a pistol. All right. Um, if you have a mental health problem, you're not allowed to buy a weapon. And you're supposed to have an escort and all that stuff. They are absolutely insane. And anyway, I talked to Richard. He just said they're so bad. They're so bad. Okay, so this is that border incident. I have the map for it too. And let's read a little bit. An investigation into the border incident determined that there was insignificant. Now, this right here should be bold, right? If you're talking to a mother of a missing soldier, your missing soldier, so all that other stuff doesn't matter because, the main thing is, ma'am, what can you tell me to help me find your son? What can you tell me? I am going to find Richard Halliday, my soldier. I am going to find him. This is what this letter should have said. But look, it has all these footnotes. Look at all these footnotes here, y'all. These footnotes, in addition to being detained, Richard was found by the U.S. Border Patrol to be in possession of an AR-15 assault rifle. His rifle! Woo! Oh my gosh. This is screams of JAG, right? And they knew at this time that Richard had put in Child Protective Service complaints, that he was in possession of what we believe, because he turned it in, child porn. Okay? Child porn. They didn't say that he's a whistleblower. He's trying to stop the military for participating in child sex trafficking and child porn. The production of child porn, the selling of child porn, the broadcasting of child porn. They didn't say that, did they? They didn't talk about the FBI finding Richard's remains in Mexico. That the father-in-law, oh my gosh, ma'am, the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado, I know Lieutenant Colonel Bugado, he works in our G3 along with Major General Clem Coward and Command Sergeant Major Jones, or Command Sergeant Major Shaky Jake Jakovitz, that brought girls in during the COVID lockdown. We had great fun. Yeah, at our front party every day. Oh, you mean Asia Graham got raped? And we told her to shut up. Don't ruin our fun. So I'm speaking truth. Thank you, God. Yeah, those are the things that I think kind of is the attitude, right? Is the attitude. Because he didn't highlight insignificant evidence. He didn't bold that. That's really important. Really important. They didn't say, hey, the DUI, not DWI, the DUI is under, it's just still active case. There's been no findings. Of course, Richard was found not guilty and the case was dismissed. So, what's going on? Because they should be caring about the missing soldier, not all this stuff. Because it gets even worse. They threaten me. insignificant evidence that Richard crossed the international border to Mexico, acquired an assault rifle with associated ammunition in an illegal manner, transported an assault. He didn't do any of that. Okay? So none of this stuff has any merit at all, any credibility at all. It's none of it. None of it. Okay? And then he says, but he disobeyed my lawful order. Okay. He disobeyed my lawful order. Okay, so what I have been researching is that we have soldiers there, and I hate to say it, that have been sold, flak vests, things like that. They weren't kicked out. They have sold illegal drugs, got caught, didn't get kicked out. Now he's saying that because Richard went out from the barracks on the 28th of March in his car, drove in his car by himself, that he disobeyed. It didn't matter if he went to the border or not, y'all. That didn't matter. He's saying he could not get in his car and drive off base. Saturday when he was off duty by himself. Okay. Now, I've got the orders. The orders were HIPCON Charlie, because SFC Orona gave the order for Captain Park. HIPCON Charlie. All right. They were supposed to listen to the city of El Paso, and they were juggling this. Brigadier General David Stewart was juggling. Hey, David, with your two beautiful. No, I'm not going there. That's so low. But is child sex, porn, and trafficking worth this? Is this worth it? Because he was not informed at all at our first. I was trying to tell him what was going on. He couldn't believe it. He was not informed. It was a big mess. And he did tell us that the barracks were flush with weapons. Yeah. Who wants to be a general officer today or a flag officer? They've committed crimes against humanity. And it's like that Faustian kind of deal, the deal with the devil. Once you step your foot in, once you lockstep to it, you keep going. You keep going. It's terrible. Anyway. This is my son. They're just so cold-blooded. I can't even tell you. But let me. I am going to tell you. I am. Okay, so here's HIPCON Charlie. It says, make sure I get it all on there. Get it all on there. Yeah, there you go. HIPCON Charlie. Continue all previous action and expect cancellation of in-person gatherings. Plan activities for family members, especially children, in case you are restricted to your home for prolonged periods of time. Prepare for potential or limited access to supplies and services, including severely restricted access to military installations. Implement remote work procedures as directed by your employer. If outside the United States, authorized or ordered departure actions may be implemented. So what's Bravo? Avoid unnecessary contact with others, such as shaking hands. Avoid unnecessary travel, especially to areas known to be experiencing active disease transmission. Ensure supplies of food, medication, and other items needed for babies and pets are available. Prepare for travel restrictions or cancellations of public gatherings. Observe local guidance of movement restrictions. They want you to not go to church. but it says prepare for it. Okay, prepare. Seek guidance, let's see, and comply with medical orders for self-isolation or quarantine. That's when you have some kind of positive test or symptom. Um, yeah. So, Delta is where it says expect to remain at home for extended periods of time. Okay. So, they could go out in their car, they could drive by themselves on the 28th of March. And here is more proof. This is El Paso's, okay, that was good. El Paso's directive at the time for outdoor. I just cut the part that was very relevant to this. For outdoor activity, to engage in outdoor activities such as, by way of example and without limitation, biking, walking, hiking, or running, provided that individuals comply with social distancing requirements. As defined in this section, individuals may go to public parks and open outdoor recreation areas, but are discouraged from using playground or outdoor exercise equipment. For certain types of work, to perform work providing essential products and services at an essential business, government service, or critical infrastructure, or to otherwise carry out activities specifically permitted in this directive, including minimum basic operations. Okay, so you can go in your car by yourself and go for a drive and go out to the quarry and shoot your rifle. No big deal. Now, one thing that I want to point out that I thought to myself when I first read all of this, and this was in 2020, okay? This was in 2020 in the middle of the big COVID insanity. And I thought to myself, how long have they been working on this? How long have they been working on this? To create all these directives, step by step, to create all of this HipCon Bravo and HipCon Charlie and HipCon. They had to have been working on this for a long time. Okay? That's absolutely what I thought. They must have been working on this for a long time. And sure enough, we know for sure that it could be very early, but at least as early as 2013, they were working on this. Yeah. No, it was not new. This was a crimes against humanity, a PSYOP, a psychological operation, and an asymmetric warfare tactic, a military operation, because the DOD was the ones behind this. Okay? This was by and done by the DOD, the Department of Defense. This was by and done the Department of Defense, y'all. We have been so betrayed. They have committed crimes against humanity against us. And they have been hurting our service members for a long time. For a long time. On purpose. On purpose. For a long time. Sabotaging our military. This is a border illustration that I picked out. El Paso is back here. This is the Bridge of Americas, okay? And this is, Google Maps or Google Earth or whatever. This is the United States. This is Mexico. This is the gate, and this is the border here. And if you go in, you can see this has so much traffic coming into the United States. Going into Mexico, it doesn't have that kind of traffic. And Richard, now the CID spent a lot of time and money on this camera searching through the camera footage. They didn't spend that kind of time with the July 23rd camera footage. They said, oh no, it was destroyed. Oh no, we can't. And it might have been destroyed. There is video missing. There is, but we think that that has to do with the porn, the child porn. But anyway, camera shot at 3:07:46 p.m. in El Paso. So he came back from the field. They were done. They were released. He went and picked up his rifle that he bought. Rob knew all about it, and he wanted to go out to the next day and shoot his rifle. There is a lot of construction. I showed you the video yesterday. These big concrete walls all along on both sides, and there are some exits. But if you're not familiar with the area, which Richard was not, if you're not familiar with driving, Richard was not, then it's very, very easy all the time, all day long, if you're not paying attention. Or the foreman said, if you're following Google Maps will bring you to the Bridge of Americas. Okay. And Richard, said, hey, I'm a U.S. Army soldier. I do not want to go over there. I have my rifle with me. I just need a U-turn. And they arrested him, shackled him, and put him in a quarantine wagon. Nothing happened to him because he didn't do anything wrong. Matter of fact, I think his civil rights were violated. And I should have listened to smart people very early on that one. Here is Richard. He got turned around. This is a gate, and it gets into this lane, and you leave, and you never go over that border. So this area here, I've talked to CBP protectors, and they have to come out and move this, and to open up the gate, there's a big concrete. They have to take a forklift and move that, and it slows things down. But it happens every day. So they're very quick at doing that. So at 3:26:05, he was shot leaving. So this is definitely, he could never, and thanks to Sammy C, he could never have driven across the bridge, made a U-turn, and come back in 19 minutes. Okay? Really, it's 18 minutes. 18 minutes and some seconds. He could never have done it in that amount of time. But this is really the best thing I can kind of show you here. Where here he is. Here's the cameras. And here is where you have to make the U-turn. You have to go here and make the U-turn. So, and the guards helped him. And where are the guards? He self-reported, stopped traffic, and refused to go into Mexico. So that's something I wanted to share with all of you. We have everything. Everything meaning we don't know 100%. You never know 100%. But we know that there absolutely are so many lies. So many lies. Okay. Due to Richard's number of high-risk events in the past 90 days. What do you mean? I don't see any high-risk events. I don't see any. You can't handle that? Richard was assigned an escort who acted as his battle buddy. Where's his battle buddies? They were found nowhere near him. Breaking COVID curfew. Coming in at 4:30 in the morning. They were nowhere near Richard. And he bought 2 weapons. 2 charges. And he was found guilty on both charges. So, but you see, he doesn't mention that he was already being chaptered out by that Gomar, that we want to know why. Why did Major General Clem Coward give Richard a permanent Gomar? We would like to know why. So we're trying to find out all that. Um, we've been trying, and we really need to get that out in the open because there's foul play here. There is a smoking of a soldier. There is a destruction of a soldier. We have soldiers that are have done crazy things. You're talking about young people, and I've never liked to point those things out. And they don't get smoked like Richard. Richard got smoked for being a whistleblower. That's my take on this whole thing. Okay? They want to keep their child sex porn. They want to keep their child sex trafficking, whoever they are. That's my thoughts on this whole thing. This is 24th of July. He went missing the 23rd of July. Anyway. So what happened to Richard? I don't know what happened to Richard. That's what he says. I understand that this is not the answer you're looking for. However, this is the truth. Blah, blah, blah. This. I'm trying to find. I do not hold any animosity towards your son. Really? You're his captain. All kinds of things are happening with our young soldiers. Richard did really good. What did you not like? That he was reporting child sex trafficking? That he was turning in porn? Is that not what you like? That IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday? And that they were finding it flush with weapons and drugs and whatnot, the leftovers of frat parties every day. I mean, what's going on? Captain? West Pointer? Didn't they train you at West Point for this stuff? I mean, I'm a mama and I understand that I love my children, but my children, I have to make sure that they learn how to be polite, that they learn how to be nice, that they learn how to give thanks, that they, all those good things, because they're not born angels. I understand that. So don't you understand that as a captain? That you have to work hard to get esprit de corps into your unit, to create a army ready fighting patriot battery. This is so animosity towards my son. What did he whistleblow on you? I just want to know that. Did he cause me some great stress? Wow. This is what you're saying to a family looking for their missing soldier when you have failed. This is, yeah. And then he yells at me here. I shall get straight to the point. He's pointing his finger at me. I disagree with much of your rhetoric that you have been pushing out on social media with respect to your son's disappearance. Well, you know what? Oh, well, my son is missing. What are you doing about it? Why didn't you come out to you were there in El Paso. Why didn't you come out to any of our rallies? Why didn't you come out to meet us? Huh? The same thing with the first sergeants. Why didn't they come out to meet? Why didn't they participate in the rallies? Because the 44 four-star generals have you tied up in knots. Tied up in knots. And whatever happened to West Point, I don't know. I think I can do the rest tomorrow. If you can humble yourself to admit, What if there is any hostility or animosity between us? Let us bury the hatchet and start. This is asymmetric warfare tactic. I don't have a hatchet. I want to know where my son is. You know, it's the army that has the hatchet. It's Enrique Roman Martinez's head that was taken off by a hatchet right before Richard went missing. It's Byron Booker that has a knife that slaughtered Austin Hawke in his barracks room. What did they use? Some kind of sword or whatever to cut Vanessa Guillen into parts after they used a hammer to bludgeon her to death? And a fire and whatnot? What did they all do to her? And you're telling, you're an army captain and you're saying this stuff? I mean, this is so criminal. So criminal. To help find Richard, this is, he writes, I believe it would be disingenuous of me to pretend to support a cause I do not feel. Yeah. I used to say that almost every day. How could this captain say this? So I don't know. We'll see where this goes, and I will. I'm just getting a little emotional right now, so I think I'm going to have to finish it tomorrow, because he goes in to invoke Christ. Yeah, it's a pretty bad letter. But a very, okay, so let me put things in perspective in my own brain. This is a good piece of evidence. And I should be glad that I have it, even though it is just so evil. So evil. Let's see what else is going on. Almost 2 years ago, we were sent a letter by Richard's captain. He only addressed me at the time. We did not know Richard had turned in porn videos, went over and outside his chain of command to make CPS complaints, and that the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday. We did get his paperwork and his belongings. He had one counseling slip for underage drinking for 0.04 BAC. He did, and they said that was it. They have no paper trail at all for Richard, for anything, even for the disobeying. The Article 15 for leaving the base. Okay, for leaving the base. And they were absolutely allowed to leave. Absolutely. They were like, but he wasn't. Where's the paper for that? He did go to the hospital for a superficial cut on his upper left forearm and went to mental health. I told you he was definitely finding a safe place. His unit was conducting field training exercises, February through 27th of March. The hospital stay was 2 to 5 March. I can talk more about that. He purchased a rifle 27 March 2020. He knew about this purchase. He self-reported at the border on 28 March. He was arrested, shackled, turned over to MPs, and was put in a quarantine wagon, taken to the hospital, William Beaumont, and he never crossed the border, and he purchased a pistol on the 17th of July 2020. My daughter said, Mom, he feared for his life. So I showed you those. Yeah, I think that is really, really important. You can go to Facebook. I put up a bunch of things that I find or that people send me that are interesting, because it all has to do, I think everything works together. It's one in the many. Everything works together for our culture, for what's going on, and definitely for Richard's case. It just doesn't come out of thin air. Byron Booker, and Jordan Brown. It didn't come out of thin air that they could create that kind of evil crime like that. You know, um, and I know some people are just plain evil, and I know we're sinners, and I know all of that. But I also know that it's not just about the individual; it's the one in the many. It's about these 44 four-star generals that have a lot of power. We saw that during COVID. They can click kills together very, very easily, and they've created this criminal self-sabotaging military that is making us very weak as a country. And I'm just alerting everyone to it. If we can come together and find out what happened to Richard, it would open up such a well, it would be a blessing for us because we'd have our son, if it's his remains or if he's alive. At this point, anyway, it would be a huge blessing, and I think it would save a lot of service members, a lot, and I think it would go a long way in helping to save our country, and what's going on in our country. So, okay, let me answer any questions. I'm going to Facebook here. I hear it. Okay. I don't see. Oh, I do see comments. Thank you, Kat, for coming on. Marilyn, thank you so much. You're the best mother ever. Thank you. Thank you. I don't feel that way. But from the very beginning of this, nothing has made sense. And absolutely, I felt like they were trying to hypnotize us, that they were trying to do some kind of brain thing on us, to get us to believe that Richard was a person that he is not. And the smears that went on about him, I just, it was so weird. And because there was no urgency to find him. There was no logical moves to find him. You would want to rally the soldiers together. You would rally around the family. You would get the news media to really rally around the family and be there. And the first couple rallies we had, they did show up. Then they told us too much stuff standing there. Then that ended. But we found out too much. And we weren't caring about the COVID because our son was missing. And so we just said, who cares? We're going to risk our life. If our lives are in danger, we're still going to go over to Juarez. We're still going to hug people. We're still going to talk to media. We're still going to do our rallies. We're just going to go on with life like COVID is not even there. That's what we decided. And thank God we did, because we realized what that kind of military operation was. That was a military operation against us. And we saw a lot of things. And so I don't know. I think every mother that goes through this, that has the military background. See, it's the parents that don't have any military background. I'm always praying for Enrique's mother, because she doesn't have the military background and she doesn't speak good English, and her son was murdered, hatcheted. Where is her recourse? So this is where I get some of my energy, is I'm just praying for these families, these parents, and where we have no excuse because we have long history with the military. a long family history with the military, long family history with people that were in the DOD, that we understand what's going on. And it was shocking. So we had to continue. We have to continue. And praise God for my husband. You know, we're a team, because I could never do this without him taking up a lot of slack for me, a lot of slack. So, yeah, so we're able to do this, and of course, um, we made promises to our son. We love our son. We want to find our son, and the thought of his remains being in the hands of the FBI, hiding them, and they're not giving our son to us, and they found him in Juarez, um, y'all, they cannot get away with that. They just can't get away with that. So what is our recourse? We have to come on here and do this, and have people on the boots, boots on the ground, and then also we have some people in powerful places that are helping us. And so we'll see how, keep praying, especially this week. Some things are happening behind the scenes, and we need all the prayers we can get. And I know I say that all the time, but they've been working, because we even found out who the soldier is that died, not the soldier, but the young person that they found dead. They found another body dead, and this was like months ago, 6-7 months ago, and media never covered it, and we found out who that was. So suicide is a big problem, a really big problem in and outside the military, because of DOD military operations against the United States. We have a military that is being used against us, and it is affecting our whole entire country, and it's so depressing. And some people do not have the support systems. So we have a real bad suicide problem, and illegal drug use problem, alcohol problem. We have child abuse problems, and everything would be better if we would investigate these 44 four-star generals and admirals and audit them, hold them accountable, put in some true American-loving leaders in those positions with those beautiful uniforms with the 4 stars that we can support. And I don't know that we need 44 of them, though. We don't need 44 of them. We're so bloated, and I think that's part of the problem. This military-industrial complex has gotten so bloated and so powerful that some foreign and domestic enemies with lots of money has got them to betray us, to commit treason, to commit crimes against humanity. It's really clear. So it's not just about Richard. For us, it's about Richard and more, and our country, and all the other. Lavina Johnson. I can never go a day without thinking about Lavina Johnson. She has no justice. I think it's almost 20 years. I can't tell you how many cases that I've heard. And so we need to share. We need to share. We need to create our own memes. We need to create our own videos. If you don't like where I stand on, the stupid germ theory, that's a trash germ theory, viruses don't exist, I'm going to say that because that's how I feel. Right? That's what I've discovered. What I find is truth. The Trinity is God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost, 3 in 1, 1 in 3. That's it. The one in the many. The one in the many. That's the answer for everything. Because without the one in the many, it's only totalitarianism, it's only anarchism, it's only death. The Trinity is. The one is ultimate, the many are ultimate. Not one is greater than the other. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost. God the Father is ultimate. God the Son is ultimate. God the Holy Ghost is ultimate. The three are one, and they are ultimate. The individual matters. The group matters. My spirit matters. My body matters. And if you say that the multitude doesn't matter, then we end up with the gas chambers again, with the one totalitarian that don't like the way the others think, and so they can just put everyone to death. And I think this unit did not have a good concept of the Trinity. I can tell you that right now, because Richard, whistleblower, he didn't like the child sex trafficking. He didn't like the porn. He didn't like how this young mother was being groomed into the sex industry. And we have proof of all of that. And they didn't like him for that. The mob did not like Richard for that. So I'm very proud of him for being a saint. Being a saint. Standing up. Okay. All right, everyone. I'd leave the base too. He must have felt threatened, and he obviously was doing survival tactics. He was trying to get away from the danger in the barracks. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you for staying on this long live stream. But this is how we figure out everything, is to talk about it. Talk about it. And thanks for asking questions. Please keep sending me information, and we're going to get to the bottom of this and pray this week. All right.